Hey everybody, it's your pal JR again, and welcome to Assume I'm an Idiot, where we take complicated topics and bust them into tiny, easy-to-digest, yummy bites that even a child can understand. I am the idiot.
You idiot!
And on this podcast, we'll be exploring everything from silly fun facts that everyone should know to bigger, more adult stuff like space, education, business, animals, social issues, and so much more. Broken down without corporate talk or industry speak, so even a well-meaning numbskull like me can grasp it. So sit back, kick your feet up, and put your brain in neutral, and take everything I say with a tiny grain of salt. Today we have a topic that may burr the hair on a few people's backs, mostly eggheads and super smart people, and also people with hairy backs. But first, it's time for Random Stuff You Should Know.
Random stuff you should know!
From the world of animals. Did you know the deadliest animal on Earth is the mosquito? According to the World Health Organization, these little assholes cause millions of cases of deadly malaria every year around the world. Mosquitoes can carry and transmit a number of viruses and diseases. Malaria is one, dengue fever, yellow fever, and more. In 2024 alone, there were roughly 280 million cases globally of malaria transmitted by mosquitoes, resulting in 610,000 deaths. Lethal little bastards. Also from the world of animals,
Hooray, animals.
the alpine swift can spend 6 months or more in flight non-stop. Found primarily in southern Europe and Asia, swifts, especially the larger alpine swifts, spend months of their lives in flight, rarely if ever touching down, managing to eat tiny flying insects. One 2013 study showed that over a 6-month period, an alpine swift stayed airborne nearly the entire 6 months, even sleeping in flight. That's nuts. I often sleep in flight. As soon as my butt hits the seat in the airplane, I'm out. And just for fun, here's a bonus random animal fact.
Animals.
The strongest bite in the world belongs to the Tasmanian devil. Looney Tunes made the Tasmanian devil a lovable cartoon character, but in real life, it's anything but. According to multiple studies, it has the strongest bite on Earth compared to its body size. Although these animals weigh just 20 pounds on average, they can exert up to 94 pounds of pressure for a bite force quotient of 181. I guess that's big. I don't know what that means. That's nearly twice as strong as a hyena and some 60 bite force points higher than an adult male lion. So if you're in Tasmania while you're listening to this, don't poke one with a stick or anything. Okay, on to the topic at hand. Today we're going to talk about education, specifically about math. And before I even get started, let me set the table with some news that probably won't shock a whole lot of you. I hated school. Hated. Aside from the socialization aspect and the extracurricular stuff I was involved with, I despised every part of it. I am what most people would call street smart. My brain was wired since birth for creativity, not facts and figures. Those two sides of the brain don't play well together. I never put no store on no book learning. I was a lousy student, as you might imagine. I was a procrastinator. I was the kid who couldn't resolve the logic of the need for homework. Why homework? I spend 6+ hours a day listening to you lecture me on the subject. Good enough. Let's move on. Catch you tomorrow. So when my kids, now grown adults, used to whine and moan and complain about homework, the best I could do was to direct them to their much smarter mother, because I 100% agreed with them. Homework is stupid. What got me thinking about this was a few weeks ago, my lovely wife and I were invited to a dinner party at a neighbor's house, and every guest at the event, except us, was a teacher. All of them teachers at a very high-end private high school. All brilliant, all articulate, and all wondering what the heck I was doing there. For the record, they were wonderful, delightful, fun, and warm people, and we genuinely had a terrific time. But a room full of teachers is the absolute last place I should be. Most conversations blasted over my head, and my only option was to downshift into comic relief and provide entertainment like the king's fool that I am. But then I did something stupid and opened my big fat idiot mouth on the subject of modern education. And boy, did I get a reaction. About a year ago, I had the opportunity to join a technology task force that was attempting to challenge the way people learn. My role was certainly not academics. My participation was strictly in the area of immersive video content creation for a proposed new method of learning. Now, the details of what was being proposed are less important than the data that was collected that prompted this initiative in the first place. It seems, friends, that the education system we use today has gone unchanged in 600 years. Technology aside, the way we learn now is exactly the same way we learned 600 years ago. And without breaking down every aspect, here's the long and short of it. We memorize information, hold it in our heads just long enough to regurgitate it on a test paper, then completely forget all of it to make space for the next subject. Our education system is based on memorization, period. Facts, dates, names, and formulas. Anyone who's ever crammed for a test can confirm they didn't actually learn anything. They memorized stuff. That's it. Now, every student has a different capacity for how long they can retain that info, but the intake is the same for everyone. If you're old enough to remember the glory of Schoolhouse Rock, and it was glorious, the genius of it was using music and visuals to aid in memorization. Think about it. As a kid, would you rather listen to a dusty old teacher drone on at the chalkboard? Or would you rather hear a ridiculously catchy, highly memorable song sung by a colorful little character on TV? The answer is B. Trust me when I say more people than will admit used Schoolhouse Rock to scratch their way through exams. I'm not ashamed to admit that I did. And considering that all modern studies say the human brain isn't fully developed until well into our 20s, there seems to be a lot of wasted energy in the way we're taught. Anywho, back to the dinner party faux pas. One of the guests at the party taught math and physics. During the conversation, the subject of math homework came up. Math was my nemesis. Still is. My mortal enemy. If there was a hate pyramid, math was easily at the pinnacle. Even so, I somehow fell ass backwards into AP math courses and quite unbelievably passed. In any event, that's when my dopey pie hole, almost involuntarily, flew open and blurted out, "I'm not sure why we need advanced math anymore. Everyone has a computer in their pockets at all times." If this was a trite 80s sitcom, you would have heard the needle scratch off the record and the music stop. All heads whipped toward my direction. It's as if I was sitting at a table full of minks and suddenly shouted, "Man, do I love fur coats!" After a deafening silence, that was probably only a second or two, but felt like 2 minutes, one of the guests replied, "Because we need advanced math." Now, I fully expected a more descriptive explanation from people of that level of intelligence. It seemed a very mom-like, "because I said so" response. So I replied, "Who does? People going into sciences or engineering? Not everyone needs advanced math." After some banter back and forth, that's when a decades-old standby reared its head. Let's say you're on a desert island and you don't have your phone. Are you kidding? The old divide up the coconuts routine, the one that every teacher has used since the calculator was invented? I quickly cut that off. I'll eyeball it. I'll use my artistic visual skills to make sure everyone gets their fair share of coconut. Thankfully, that got a laugh and lightened the mood enough to have a very friendly debate about the benefits of math beyond a 6th grade level. Again, given that a lot of people, not all, have a calculator in their pocket at all times. In fact, they have an advanced computer in their pocket, now with the ability to answer any math question you could possibly ask it. And I also brought up that I've never once in my life knowingly used a cosine for anything. Also, what are the benefits of math over, say, home ec, or civics, or computer programming, or wood shop, metal shop, basic auto repair? I mean, no one teaches kids how to change a tire. Heck, my son, who's an educated man in his own right, had no idea where the oil goes in his car. In modern society, wouldn't one of those subjects benefit the bulk of people more than calculus or statistics or linear algebra, stuff that only a specialized few would ever use in their lifetime? I just had a conversation with a retired state Supreme Court justice who completely agrees with me that advanced math is nonsense. I also think that cursive handwriting is nonsense, but that's a different story. Here's just a few little facts. In the U.S. alone, a very large percentage of students struggle with math proficiency long before calculus even enters the picture. According to the National Assessment of Education Progress, the NAEP, often called the nation's report card, math proficiency in America is historically low right now. NAEP's 2024 report found only about 22% of 12th graders were considered proficient in math, and about 45% scored below basic, the worst level ever recorded for seniors. That means nearly half of graduating seniors lack even baseline competency in high school math. Proficient, according to the NAEP, is not genius level. It's basically you can handle grade level math reasonably well. By the 8th grade, roughly 72% of students are at a basic or below proficiency level in math. That's according to USA Facts. That's even before Algebra 2, trigonometry, pre-calculus, calculus, or advanced STEM coursework. And a lot of students have their academic careers derailed by advanced math. You can't track whose dreams were actually crushed by calculus, but we can track stuff like algebra is one of the largest barriers to graduation. Calculus acts as a gatekeeper for STEM fields, meaning if you can't get by calculus, you're not getting into one of those sciences. Many students abandon engineering, physics, computer science, economics, and medical tracks because of the math requirement. Multiple university studies have found students leave STEM majors at a very high rate after struggling with calculus. And some estimates suggest roughly half of students who begin STEM majors either switch majors or drop out, with math difficulty being one of the biggest reasons. And most students aren't failing because they're stupid. They're arriving at college already weak in foundational math. So it begs a controversial question. How many people actually need this advanced math? And this is where things get really interesting. For most non-STEM careers, you probably do not need calculus. Honestly, most adults rarely use trigonometry or advanced algebra or logarithms unless they're working in a science, engineering, physics, architecture, advanced finance, computer science, data science, and so on. So why is everybody forced to go through this? Not because we need to know it, because advanced math has become a filtering system. Schools and colleges use math primarily to determine academic readiness, persistence, analytical ability, and college eligibility. In many cases, calculus is less about real-life use and more about can the student survive abstract problem solving. This is why people get so mad about it. People like me argue we are submarining a huge number of students academically because they struggle with forms of math that we will never use. And there's evidence behind that frustration. Math requirements can delay or derail college graduation, trade entry, degree completion, and career advancement, especially for students pursuing non-technical careers, something not in the sciences. Now, the big pushback, of course, and every educator will say this, is that advanced math teaches logical thinking. And it's not wrong. The argument is even if you never use calculus directly, the process develops problem solving and reasoning and abstract thinking and persistence. But the truth is probably somewhere in the middle of those two things. Some advanced math absolutely matters for sciences, engineering, medicine, and so on, the stuff I mentioned, but forcing every student to go through the same pipeline may not make sense for everyone, especially when, as I said, nearly half of U.S. seniors already struggle with baseline math proficiency. America basically treats advanced math like a giant educational nightclub bouncer. Oh, you wanted to become an architect, economist, doctor, engineer, programmer? Cool, solve for X. So, do we really need advanced math? Are there more modern ways to teach it? And should students not going into a science be routed into a different academic track? Well, as I'm sure what will be a huge sigh of relief from the education system, you don't have to rely on my soft cerebellum to figure this out, because joining me today is a friend of the show, whether he likes it or not, world-renowned astrophysicist, author, teacher, and all-around great guy. Please welcome back super smart brainiac, Dr. Hakeem Oluseyi.
Well, that's the best greeting I've ever received. Thank you.
So glad to have you back. Clearly you weren't scared off by my idiocy last time. We love return guests.
Well, I'm still a little scared, man. I'm not, but you know what? You're thinking, and I dig that.
All
and
right.
I'm here to think with you.
Yeah, I don't know if my thinking goes anywhere, but yeah, you're right. I am thinking a lot. You're in San Antonio, Texas at the moment, speaking with us. You're on a book tour, a speaking tour. What's going on there?
Yeah. So I'm out here promoting the book, and I'm also promoting the Astro Society, the organization that I lead, which is America's first national and oldest national astronomy organization. It goes back to 1889, astrosociety.org.
That's cool.
So we are, and next week I'm going to be in Pasadena at the American Astronomical Society meeting. And if you want to come out on Wednesday, the 17th, we're having a star party on the beach in Santa Monica. Come join us.
Whoa. I hope the weather's not as hot as it is right now for you to do that, because it's Satan's underpants right now already, and it's only the beginning of June. So Dr. Oluseyi's book, Why Do We Exist? The 9 Realms of the Universe That Make You Possible, is what we're talking about here. He talked about it a lot on the last episode. First of all, I'm publicly shaming you for not returning my book signed. I don't care how busy you are. You can say busy all you want.
No, it's at my box. I haven't been to my box.
Okay, I didn't tell you to have kids and travel the country and whatever. Yeah. I don't want to hear about it. So I had to download another copy. So your plan worked, and you bilked me for a second purchase. I will expect a check. I'll expect a check when my book finally comes back.
I'll send you a check.
For those of you who did not tune in to your first appearance, give me the book jacket version of what your book is about.
It is about existence and all of existence. And it is a blueprint and a map of existence that you've never seen before. Mm-hmm. And it is 100% accurate. And it is not just what we know, but also I go out there and put out where I diverge from orthodoxy. And, so it's full of new ideas. So if you want to understand phenomena that you've heard and you're like, what the hell is that about? The quantum realm, the dark matter, dark energy, the multiverse, that is the place to go. How much life is there in our galaxy? All of that is in the book.
I'm really enjoying it. That's not bullshit.
Awesome.
I'm not blowing smoke up your skirt here. I really am enjoying it. I think it's really well written. It's really grounded, down to earth written, pun intended, that we can. So everybody, if you have a chance, please buy a copy or download it. It's really worth reading. It's very entertaining. I am pleased you have the good sense to bring a quality mic on the road with you. It helps me out a lot. Is that in case a freestyle battle breaks out somewhere?
I'm ready if it does. Yeah. But, typically we don't use mics for that. And in fact, I don't want to be recorded, man, because my freestyles could get,
Listen, I know those science types can spit rhymes like nobody's business, so I'm glad. But you said, I think when we were talking before, you said, just in case the news calls you, and I'm going to ask you, what would they call you about? Like a comet streaming toward Earth, or?
Yeah, anytime there's any sort of space news, I get called. Okay. And not only that, sometimes it's weird things like, a ship has sunk. Can you tell us something technical? Well, because, I'm former Navy and I have been an engineer as well. So.
I don't think we talked about that last time. I didn't know you were former military.
Yeah. When I was a baby.
Yeah, because I know they're not calling you about, the screwworm outbreak in Texas where you are right now. By the way, be careful while you're there.
Oh, I didn't even know that was a thing. They're definitely not calling me about politics, which is what all news is all day, every day.
How about it? I just actually had on a very fantastic guest, former state Supreme Court justice from Colorado, who we were talking politics for a little while. And I tried to keep this nonpartisan. It's really difficult.
It's hard, yeah.
But she was amazing. Okay. Speaking of freestyle,
Today, even with my level of idiocy, I am so certain that I'm correct on this. I have almost zero notes and almost zero questions. This is going to be a healthy debate, or maybe not, between two people, because I think I know where your headspace is on this. I'm not sure, but I'm 100% convinced that I'm right. So it's up to you to tell me that I'm an idiot.
Okay.
That said, I've already talked in my intro about the need for advanced math in STEM careers.
Yes.
So the moment you use any sciences as your reasoning, you're getting one of these. Okay? You're getting a buzz. So,
or if I get too mathy and bore the audience.
Right. If you start getting hoity-toity in your description, okay? You're getting one of those, right?
All right.
Okay. Let's get a blanket statement from you.
Okay.
I want to get your sort of overarching opinion of why you think, let's do a pro and a con, why you think we might need to keep advanced math for students the way that we have it right now.
All right, so let us define advanced math. Okay. So when I asked you earlier, you said beyond Algebra 2. So let me tell you, there's Algebra 1, and then Algebra 2 is really trigonometry added to algebra.
Okay.
All right? So if you do those, you've gone really far in understanding. And actually, I'm going to say this, when algebra is taught right, and it almost never is, I was taught it in the Navy, not in school.
Is that true?
I took it in school. Yeah. I took it in school, but that did not result in me knowing it.
Oh.
And I took it in the Navy, that resulted in me knowing it. I think you've done, you now have the foundation to do what needs to be done.
Okay.
Right?
I like that opinion.
That you need. Yeah. And so if you have it done properly at any time you decide you want to pick up that advanced math, you can. Because the thing is that people change. So people that meet me or see me on TV you know, they always say the same thing to me. Hakeem, I thought I was dumb until I saw you.
Oh,
so,
I get that a lot too. That's amazing. What a coincidence.
But what they're saying to me is what they really say is things like, man, I didn't know I could understand this stuff. And I saw you and I realized it's understandable. I realized I can do it. So now I'm going to go back to school and I'm going to get this engineering degree or something like that.
That's
right?
Cool.
Parents stop me with their kid and tell me this sort of
That's
stuff.
Inspiring.
So I think that you don't want to skip algebra because that may be you when you're 35, 40, 45 years old.
Yeah.
Right. And algebra is that foundation. But beyond algebra, linear algebra, calculus, differential equations, you don't really need that in normal life. But algebraic thinking is super useful, even if you're not doing STEM.
So let's even go backwards a little bit more. Like, so I agree. Algebra, yes. I say maybe statistics. That's something that can help you in your lifetime down the road. Okay. I know that's actually taught more on the collegiate level, at least in California. I don't know about every other state, but let's go back even to grade school-ish, middle school, okay? Where, here's my opinion on this. First of all, as you might imagine, and you're not going to be surprised by, I hated math. It's my nemesis. I can't stand it. Somehow or another, even with that, I fell ass backwards into a math major. Because
you didn't.
Because I took AP math courses, right, and all that stuff. I was supposed to be an art and music major. I ended up being a math major.
Wow.
I can't remember shit about it, but I was a major. But stuff like story problems, right? Yeah. Skip those story problem crap altogether, right? It's stupid.
You're tripping, JR.
Listen to me. They're created solely for the purpose of confusing kids and making teachers laugh in the break room. Gary Larson, the great cartoonist, has 20 different comics about hell, and in each case, the bookcase is filled with books of math story problems. So even he was like, hell is math story problems, all right?
Well, let me let you finish before I go on my diatribe.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. Well, here's the problem, man. The reason why that is the case is because we're all miseducated in math.
Yeah.
That's why that is a problem. Okay. And I'll tell you why. So I recognized this early in my career because I told you a bit about my background, right? Neither one of my parents graduated high school where I was from. It was very common for people to drop out of high school. Yeah. And math was terrible for me as well. When I was a kid, I read every book I could find. And so I was self-taught in a lot of like non-math stuff. Okay. And what that meant was every time I took an exam like the ACT, SAT, math was my lowest score by far, right? I was maxing out everything else. And with math, I was average at best based on not my ability to do math, but just the poor education I had in math, right? But anyway, here's the point. Here I am. I have a PhD. I've worked in Silicon Valley. I had done solar physics for my PhD, and now I'm doing cosmology. I'm working with the team that discovered dark energy.
Oh, I thought you meant makeup. I thought you meant makeup stuff. You were working on that.
No, not makeup, not cosmetology.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And so anyway, I'm sitting there and I'm doing all this work. And I'm like, wait a minute. When I'm doing math, the only thing I ever do with numbers is add, subtract, and multiply the single digit numbers.
Amen.
For the most part, right?
Yeah.
So here's the point. I started asking myself, I go, oh, I think I see what's going on here. And so I started asking people, and I've been asking people this question for the last 20 years. And if they are, a science STEM person, they give a different answer. But 99.99% of humanity all give the same answer. And here's the question. The question is, in one word, what is math about?
Okay. Yeah. If you're asking me, I have no idea, but go ahead.
Okay, 99.999% of people say numbers.
Yeah, okay.
All right. But if you are, a STEM professional, whatever, you'll say something like logic, reasoning, thought, right? And that's the difference. So in order to combat that problem, I created a phrase that I tell my kids. Numbers are for noobs.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
I like that.
So at the very beginning, the problem is they focused you on numbers. And math is not done with numbers. Math is done with what's called terms. And terms have three parts. There's the number part, like say 2. Okay. Right? Then there is the kind of thing part. And the kind of thing can be a variable expression like x squared y cubed. Yeah. Or it could be dimensions like kilometers, right? Okay. So if I was to ask anybody, if I was to say, hey, what's 2 bananas plus 3 bananas? You would answer 5 bananas. Yeah. And so I do this with kids all the time. And I say, what's 2 this plus 3 that? 2 this plus 3 that? Refrigerators, galaxies, foxes, dogs, cats, whatever. Everybody says 5 of the thing. Then I say, what's 2x plus 3x?
Yeah.
And suddenly their brain goes, bloop.
Yeah,
right?
I just got a nosebleed with you saying that. I mean, it's immediate nosebleed.
Yeah, but it's just another kind of thing. 2x plus 3x is the exact same thing as 2 dogs plus 3 dogs.
Okay.
2x squared y cubed z over 7 plus 3x squared y cubed z over 7 is the same thing as 2 dogs plus 3 dogs.
Oh my gosh.
It's the number part and the kind of thing part. And you just, in order to add, I can add 2 bananas and 3 bananas, but I can't add 2 bananas and 3 apples. So it got to be the same kind of thing, right?
Okay.
So the point I'm getting at is we're all miseducated mathematically, and that's why if you're taught from the very beginning algebraic thought, which is what 2x squared y cubed z plus 3x squared y cubed z is, you don't have that problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's
so my son, who's now
go ahead, please.
I have 2 sons that are in my house. One is 8 years old, one is 20. The 20-year-old, this dude completed Algebra 1 at the age of 7, taught by me.
Wow.
Algebra 2 and trig taught by the age of 9. But this kid, you could tell just by talking to him when he was 3, 4, 5 years old that he was on another level. All right.
Yeah, he had the perception already.
He had something already, right? My 8-year-old, complete opposite. That dude, there was times where I was like, does he have a learning disability? Whew, he doesn't, right? Even he now, at age 8, has started doing algebra, basic algebra.
Taught by you, though, not by school.
Taught by me, right? Not taught by the school. So I just started with my 5-year-old daughter. And there was another thing. When I was doing 2 foxes plus 3 foxes, she was getting all that. But when I say it was 2,000 plus 3,000, was 2 billion plus 3 billion, that messed up her mind.
Okay.
Right? 2 billion plus 3 billion is the same as 2 dogs plus 3 dogs. It's 2 of this thing plus 3 of that thing, right? But the way that we talk about numbers and the way that we introduce math, so in order to say, number one, I cannot get you focused on thinking that math is about numbers. Because I've heard a lot of people say, I was great with math until they took away the numbers, right? Here's the thing. When people go to college and they have to choose a major, they typically ask themselves 3 questions. What do I enjoy and am good at?
Yeah.
What can I make money at? And what has the least amount of math?
Yeah. I mean,
those are the 3 questions.
We can get into the statistics of, I have a bunch of statistics about like the amount of kids at a 12th grade level that aren't proficient in math, and proficient has a certain definition to it, right? But what you're talking about is something that goes back to what I said about the way we've been taught. Okay, for 600 years, we've been taught exactly the same way.
That's right.
Everybody, other countries maybe not so much, but we've been taught exactly the same way. You memorize what you need to get it on a test. You regurgitate it onto the test paper, and then you forget all of it to make room for the next subject. You're not really learning anything, and that is because.
Go ahead. Yeah, it's even worse than that too, man. Because here's the thing. There is learning math. So if I I have a stepdaughter, right? She was doing math, and I was like, okay, here's how we're going to do this. Because I got to help you rebuild from the bottom up.
Yeah.
Because you're doing what school is telling you to do, and you're being misguided. Because another thing I say all the time is there's only 2 ways that people learn math well before they graduate high school. Way number 1, it's in your house.
Yeah.
A parent, a sibling, a friend of the family, somebody gave you the right perspective. Way number 2, you got lucky.
Yeah.
If you went to school and you had a great teacher that guided to you the right way, you're lucky. That's not the vast majority of us. I lost my train of thought, so I'll go back to you, sir.
Well, that's all right. So I guess I'm putting this in the context of the how we learn. You're leading me right into that. So I think a lot of the time, I know that there's mandatories. I understand how budgeting works for schools and that they have to hit a certain number and so on.
You can't leave it to the school, man. You can't leave it to the school.
Just saying,
if you leave your kids' math education to the school, which is what 99.9999999% of us do, it's a losing formula.
Well, they don't put it in context of why you're learning it. Like, so this all stemmed from, in my intro, I talked about a dinner party where I was the only non-teacher at the table, the worst place I could ever be.
Yeah.
They were all very nice people, but as soon as I said we don't need advanced math, the first response is always, well, it teaches you critical thinking. And I'm like, okay, now hold on a second. Since my son was 13 years old, he could solve any video game in under a week. Any video game, a maze game, a puzzle game, a search and destroy game, whatever it was, he could figure that out. He was an absolute lousy math student. And even if you tell me, well, he doesn't know he's using math, okay, he needs to know why he's using the math. There's no context of why you're learning this. It is a bunch of formulas being crammed down your throat. And then you've got to figure out like, oh, okay, I guess I need to know this formula. I don't know what for. Like, what is that doing for me? So there's different methods of teaching. I was working on a project, the same project that got me the information about we've been learning the same way for 600 years was this idea of immersive learning, where you have every kid has a 3D goggles or a screen on their desk. And the difference in the testing of this whole thing, the difference was astronomical, to put it in your term. It was crazy. So they did it from a grade school level, a high school level, a collegiate level. A med school.
I'd love to see that.
A med school did a thing where they were teaching one class the traditional way of teaching them about the human heart, and the other class they used immersive learning, where they put kids in goggles or 3D dome. And this class of traditional teaching took 4 weeks to learn about the human heart. This one took 10 days.
Wow.
To learn about the human heart. That they were inside the heart.
Right.
They could see all the parts. They got it right away. So
exactly.
In the same way that, and I'm not going to go on forever, but in the same way that Schoolhouse Rock, which was the most fantastic thing of all time, taught you memorization still, but it taught you with a colorful character. It was a catchy song. You remembered it. When I tell you, I can't even tell you how many classes I passed because of Schoolhouse Rock. And I'm not kidding.
Man.
Because I'm an art, my brain works on art and music. And I was like, okay, I can grab that. Like, I can understand that. Like, that makes a lot of sense. I'm singing the little songs in my head.
I can still sing several of them myself.
Damn straight you can. So that was, a lot of kids these days don't have that. So for me, it's a method of learning. There's
method
more to it.
Definitely matters. Yeah. Method and how you frame it as well. Because, the other thing that I was telling the story about my stepdaughter before, but here's what I ran up against is I'm like, okay, I have to start with you from the bottom up and I'm going to teach you math. She's like, no, but in school they're doing this. I'm like, no. Your teacher in school, whatever they're doing doesn't matter. You're about to learn math.
Okay. Yeah.
Right way.
I like that.
Whatever technique they're doing or whatever, that's going to be child's play for you once you actually learn math. Once I teach you math, any math you run into, you're going to kill it because you have the keys to the kingdom. Yeah. And she just wouldn't cooperate, right, with it. And so I'm just like, okay, if you're not cooperative, you're on your own. I'm not going to sit here and go through what the school is doing and further mess you up.
Well, I mean, I understand, again, that the education, first of all, I'm going to back up one more time and say, please bring back Schoolhouse Rock or another form of that. I don't care if it's on YouTube. I don't care where it is, but bring it back. It is the most immersive way for most kids who are raised on video games to learn. Okay. And as that's the best we have right now until this immersive learning idea really can take hold. And I get it. Most schools won't be able to afford it. It's got to be something that's a grant or something like that you can donate this stuff, even for testing. But the difference was remarkable about how these kids learned as soon as they had something that they could dive into that felt like a video game. Make math video games. You know what I mean? And teach them.
Well, we're already working on that. I work with this guy, Dorian Bowler, in Oakland, California. And so we both had 2 sons, and I shared with him what I was doing with my sons, and he's implemented with his sons. And again, his sons went from having difficulty to like, okay, now everything is super easy. Yeah. Right? When it's framed right. But he started a program he called Science on the Court because he realized that kids were really into sports. And so by combining sports and math, and so I provide the curriculum, and he adds gamification to the math.
I love it.
The students listen, so you have gamification, you have sports, and you have a different paradigm of math where numbers are for noobs. And the kids, not only do they, in education circles, we talk about this thing we call STEM identity. And that means having the identity that, I can do this stuff and I'm good at this stuff. Yeah. And all of the kids come out of it with STEM identity. And that's the thing, I find that when I've educated kids all over the world, worked directly with them. So I would, do my professor thing, then I'm working with kids for like 5 weeks in Africa or, in my local community, right? And I lost where I was going with that, but
listen, who's the idiot now? Like, I think you've lost track of your own sentences twice.
Choose the topic. I think on most topics I'm an idiot, right?
Well, so
I don't know. I don't know a thing about mining amber.
Right, I gotcha. Well, so where I was going with, I get that schools are chock full of mandatories for funding, as I mentioned before, but I think the mandatories are wrong, personally. I think mandatories should be stuff like civics, computer programming. You know, you do need math for it, but it's, you know, not the same, right? Reading, writing, history, home ec, right? Stuff that actually matters to their day-to-day lives. I'm going to keep shouting from the rooftops that nobody uses cursive writing anymore, except at Christmas. And even at Christmas, most people are printing their labels from a computer and sticking them on the envelope, right? So, but cursive writing curriculums take, it might be 15 minutes a day, but it's for 6 to 12 weeks.
My kids haven't done had cursive. None of my kids have had cursive.
Good for them, because our kids went through it, and I'm like, what a waste of time they will. Unless you're just developing your signature, there's no reason for it, right?
Yeah.
So
in today's time,
But most of learning, even for high-end sciences, and this is where I'm going to get a little bit probably under your skin, is about memorization, formulas, tables, calculations. All of those things exist online now. So technically speaking, even if they only need an understanding of how the formula works, they don't need more than that, right? Because they're plugging in stuff on a computer, even on their phone. You know, everybody.
That is not how it works in the real world, sir. What they have you doing in school is not how the real world works. Let me tell you how the real world works.
Hit me.
Real world works like this. Here is a situation.
Okay.
The real world is what you're calling story problems.
Yeah.
Here's a situation. So the situation might be, the rocket is taking off. What trajectory does it need? But orbital mechanics is really hard. But you have some situation in the universe, in existence, and now you have to write down a series of equations that describe that situation.
Okay.
And most of the time, you write down what's called a set of differential equations.
Okay.
Right? And then once you write down that set of equations, you then have to solve them, math them. And what does that typically mean? That means taking them from the form you have written down to the format that computers like.
Okay. I got you. Right? I understand. Yeah.
And then you have to write the computer program to solve those equations in that way, right?
Okay.
So what I just described to you would fall under school in calculus. Here's how they do calculus in school. They'll say, here's a differential equation integrated, or here's an integral, solve the integral. Here's a derivative, solve the derivative. That never happens in real life. What happens in...
Hold it.
So what happens in real life always is, here is a situation.
Okay.
That's where it always starts.
All right.
Here is a system. Here is a circumstance. A ball is falling. A asteroid is entering the solar system. Plasma is moving through some magnetic field.
You're talking about sciences.
No, I'm talking about okay, JR is...
I'm going to give you one of these. I'm even going to give you...
All right, hold it.
That's right. Fred Flintstone wants you to stop and re-explain this.
How about this? I want to develop, I want tires. I'm developing tires.
Okay.
JR got a heavy foot.
Science. It's a science. Tires is a science.
Tires?
Yes, of course it is. Engineering a tire is a science. Of course it is. It's chemistry.
It is, but I'm trying to tell you how life really works. Because here's the point. The problem is, and this is the problem that teachers have. God bless teachers, man. Teachers are
the hardest job in the world.
You know, I've met so many amazing, wonderful educators that are so dedicated and so good at it.
Yeah.
But let's be frank about what teachers are compared to, say, coaches.
Okay.
All right. I went to a tiny high school in Mississippi. My coaches, our football coaches, actually played football at a high level.
Okay.
Right? What's the probability that my chemistry high school teacher was ever a chemist?
Right. Pretty low.
What's the probability they were ever a physicist, a physics teacher?
Right.
Next to zero, right?
0.0.
So you don't actually know what you're teaching to. You get these directives from on high that says, teach this, right? If you actually know what the goal is, there's a difference between JR showing up to teach you basketball and LeBron James showing up to teach you basketball.
For sure.
Right? There's a big difference.
I mean, you're right, because again, that dinner party I was at, was a very dear friend of mine. He lives across the street. We've known each other since I moved here. And he teaches high school physics. It's a private school, so it's not regular, general pop, high school physics. He doesn't have a physics background. He doesn't have a mathematics background. He's got I think,
education
philosophy background or something like that. Yeah. And I'm like, well, how do you trip over into physics? And he's like, that's what they needed. I'm like, okay. So You don't. I hear you there. There's no real world experience that's at play
But
there.
you're suffering from it right now because you're framing it as, oh, you plug into a formula, you have an equation. And so I tell my students all the time, when you're doing a physics problem, if your first thought is, what's the equation or what's the formula?
Yeah.
You're doing it wrong.
Well, I mean, I understand about, proving or disproving theories. I understand using math.
That's math.
I understand that. I get it. I'm saying
Math
that
do proofs.
I just talked
not
to
the rest of us.
I just talked to a mutual friend of ours, Dr. Hani Fareed. We had a really great conversation.
Oh, you talked to Hani. Awesome.
Yeah, he was great. He really was great. And he scared the shit
great.
out of me with some of the stuff that he knows about AI. But we were we were talking about AI, and he said, I use AI to get an answer to a question that I already know the answer to. Meaning, if he's got to do coding, if he's got to connect the dots on those formulas, if he's got to make that, he already knows generally what the answer is. He's using AI or the computer to connect the dots and just save him a little time. So even when you're talking about the rocket taking off, or you're talking about trajectory, or you're talking about any of those STEM things, technically speaking, you might not agree with me, and you probably don't, but I'm saying, technically speaking, if you know the formulas that you've already memorized at school, you could put those in and say, all right, connect the dots for me. Am I wrong? What would be missing?
You're wrong, man, because I only memorize one formula. Because the thing about physics is that the reason why it worked for me is because I don't have to memorize anything.
Okay.
Right? It's like I can have one idea, and from that I can figure out everything else.
Okay.
Right? That's why it worked for me, because you don't memorize.
Right.
It's a logic thing. And so I knew how to do logic well. I don't do memorize, man. That's why I got an F in history. Right?
Yeah, right.
I'm like, man, I never had to do that thing where you got to like memorize the capitals or something like that. I'm like, talk about having like I know capitals now because I've traveled to dozens of countries, right? That's why I know them. Before I traveled to Indonesia, I didn't know any, I couldn't point out, Sumatra on a map, know, or Sulawesi,
Watch your mouth. There's no reason for that kind of language this early in the morning. That's crazy.
Hey, Sulawesi looks pretty cool when you look at it on the map. It has a nice shape.
Well, so this goes back again to something that I mentioned, where all evidence proves or leans toward that the human brain is not fully developed. I'm using that in air quotes.
Yeah.
Not fully developed until your mid-20s. All of the stuff we're talking about is taught before you are the age of 21. So yes, as an adult, you can figure stuff out a little bit better. Again, I don't remember any of the math. If I had to sit down right now and do,
because you don't use it.
If I had to sit down and use long division on a piece of paper, I couldn't do it.
Hey,
I could not do it.
Do you remember long square roots?
Oh. I didn't want to get it gives me like an instant chill at my back even to hear you say it. But
long division is number math. The only thing you really need to know about numbers, man, is how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide, the single digit numbers up to like, notice, like I had to learn in the Navy, every number squared from 1 to 25, right?
Okay.
Ask me any square from 1 to 25, I know it off the top of my head.
All right.
And it's useful because that whole thing that you call factoring depends on things multiplying each other, right?
Okay.
They get squared a lot.
Yeah.
Because you have to multiply things, you have to unmultiply things. And unmultiplying we call factoring. But, man, I agree with you that once you get to algebraic thinking, you're good. But I also think that it's more important what happens at the very beginning. And I think that having that number focus, I think that if we educate every kid by the method that I've been using, that the average 11-year-old will have the same mathematical competency as today's average college sophomore.
Wow. Man, let's get on that. I'm on board.
Yeah.
Let's start a company and we'll just do the Hakeem JR. That doesn't really roll off the tongue, does it? We got to come up with something that's more catchy.
We would just call it the JR.
All right. I like that. I mean, but can I put with Hakeem Oluseyi on the bottom?
In the acknowledgments, maybe.
Well, so, I mean, this kind of leads me a little bit in an abstract way to, should there be two different tracks of learning for kids? Kids that are going into STEM and sciences, kids that are not. Right, so everybody is force fed.
I don't know the answer.
So
I don't know the answer.
Yeah,
because I have examples of countries that do exactly that. Right,
they split them up.
Yeah, they split them up, and I was like, wow, that's a great method. Look at like I was working at Lawrence Berkeley Laboratory as a postdoc, and we would get these master students from Germany that were doing their practical component of their master's degree, right, like a little thesis. They had to do an experiment or something.
Yeah,
and the difference in those German students' skills and knowledge compared to the American students at the same level was vastly different.
Yeah.
Like they came in with a toolbox ready to go.
No kidding. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I would ask them, why, how are you so well educated at this point? And they're like, oh, because we're identified young in life. We go on the STEM track and we have apprenticeships started at like 14, 15 years old.
Yeah.
And we're working with the professionals, right?
Right.
But then I started talking to people that were saying like, oh yeah, it was messed up because I got locked into this trajectory young, and that's not where I really was, because like you said, your brain isn't developed yet.
Right.
And so people started pointing out to me the problems with that approach. So I'm now looking at something where, it's like a jury of your peers, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's way better than one cat deciding your fate.
How about it?
But it still sucks.
Yeah. I mean, we're on this. I'm telling you, we're going to create this. You and we're going to create this curriculum.
Let's do it.
I'm going to basically,
waiting for someone.
I'm just going to make the logo, and then you're going to do the rest of it, because that's all I can really good at. I mean,
are you able to make logos? You got that skill?
Am I ever? I'm a graphic designer. I was, been a creative, for 35 years. So.
Oh, no way. Oh, man. Yeah. Come on. Now I'm about to call on you, JR.
Come on, baby. So, but it's interesting. I was just talking to someone who was, talking about the STEM sciences, and basically, when I was describing this, like, okay, my son or my daughter, both in high school, they had to choose if they were taking like a STEM course, right? But in high school, they didn't have that option. Everybody's force-fed the same stuff.
Yeah.
And most students, by the 12th grade, it's like under half of students have a basic competency in mathematics, not a, and when I say, and they say proficiency, it's the NAEP's, definition of it is proficiency. Proficiency isn't genius level. It is a baseline understanding of foundational math.
Yeah.
They don't have it. So a lot of those students, even if they wanted to be an architect or whatever else, because the education system uses mathematics as a filtering system, right? They are immediately booted. Sorry, not for you. And I'm a creative person. I am what you would call street smart, right? I'm not book smart, but everything that I've wanted to do, I've been able to do it because as my brain developed, I'm like, okay, I can figure out the logic of all of that, right? I didn't need college to teach me that. This is getting to...
That's true. Yeah.
This is getting to, like I was talking about, something about, well, what if your doctor didn't have advanced math? I'm like, when is the last time a doctor used advanced math? Aside from dosage medication. So
the researchers,
do you know why
only the researchers.
Do you know why a doctor leaves you sitting naked in the exam room for 10 minutes and vanishes? Because he goes back to his office and either looks in a book or looks on a computer to whatever the diagnosis is going to be or whatever your symptoms add up to. He doesn't have that shit committed to memory. He's too busy.
Right. Yeah.
And even my doctor is Kaiser Permanente. They have a computer in the exam room, right? So you go in there and they just start typing in, oh, he's got a headache and he's got foot pain. And I'm like, well, good job, doctor. I got to figure that out. But anyway, so yeah, the stats are crazy. It's like, and I'm going to just throw some at you, but by age 11, so this is going on the idea of that most kids have a calculator in their pockets at all times.
Yeah.
Right. And people will say, no, that's not true. So I looked it up, and basically by age 11, this is in the U.S. alone. I understand there are poor or disadvantaged kids in the U.S. too, but in general, 53% of kids have a smartphone by age 11. By age 12, 71%.
Wow.
And by age 13 or 14, 91 to 92%.
Wow.
So no one can make the argument that these people make them sound like
them youngins.
Yeah, that the youngins don't have a smartphone in their pocket with a calculator on it and access to the sum of all human knowledge at all times. So again, that just reinforces the idea that how much advanced math do you need if you're not going into a science? At the dinner party, someone cracked out the old, and you and I are old enough to know, the old, well, what if you were on a desert island and you had coconuts? And I was like, are you shitting me right now with the divide up the coconuts thing? I'm like, I'm an artist. I'll eyeball it, right? I'll make sure no one goes hungry.
Yeah,
like that's just an old, that since the calculator was invented, that's one of those old things that they crack out.
It's true that throughout human history, there are vital survival skills that become obsolete. Right.
Yeah.
Nobody here knows how to turn a rock into a spear point.
That's for sure.
Right. Or make their own arrows. But I think that we have to ask ourselves, have we hit that moment now? Because you're right. For example, there's a part of the brain that is your mental map.
Yeah.
And since using GPS for everything, my mental map has shriveled.
Yeah. I mean, I get that. But, so I was taught auto shop. I was taught, civics and home ec, right? I made the joke that wasn't really a joke with my last guest, that I sent my son to go get a book of stamps at the post office, and he called me 3 times. Well, who do I talk to? Where do I go? I'm like, you just walk up to the effing counter and buy stamp. Like, but our parents didn't teach us that shit.
No.
They were too busy. He doesn't know where he was. I bought him oil for his car. He didn't know where it went. I'm like, there's a giant oil cap right there. It's like a picture of oil. But how would he know unless I teach him? Because it's not taught in school anymore, right? So the whole idea that 72% of students, it's 72% by the 8th grade, are basic or below in math.
Of course they are.
All right.
Of course they are, man.
And some people would say, well, then that's a bigger reason that math should be taught. And I'm like, no, you're holding these kids back. You're basically crushing.
I think it's a reason why math should be taught right from the beginning.
I agree.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
And I think that you're absolutely right. I come to understand, like for me, it was vital for me to become a middle-class dude in the way I wanted to be, get an education, right? My dad, he worked at the factory. He got a pension. He was a war veteran. He got a pension from that. I don't have a pension. So,
I'm with you.
I'm from small town America, and it's like, you're hustling until you're dead, right? And so, my homies, they're not using advanced math for anything. But I do come to realize that my emphasis on good grades and all that, if you're looking at certain people, and so I've gotten to interact with these people because I've, moved into a different space of upper middle class, and they're preparing their kids for these elite lives, right? They go from the beginning, and they're highly scheduled, they're highly trained. And
Kumon and all those extra things that they go to.
They'll go through and piano. And when you're from a lower economic class, you're like free play.
Yeah.
Get out there in the woods.
Right.
Have a good time. Right.
Well, and things like my wife works on a curriculum for preschool, right?
Yeah.
That's what her job is, and she basically, it's all about like conflict resolution and self-regulation and stuff like that. That I'm like, you know what? The difference is that stuff actually makes a difference in people's day-to-day lives more so than I need to know these kooky ass formulas and
the quadratic formula.
Yeah, I don't. Again, I've never knowingly used a cosine in my entire life. I might have, but I don't know that I used it. Right. So, but I think the end all be all is that we're really submarining a huge number of students academically because they struggle with forms of math that they don't ever use. And because of that filtering system going into college basically, you got to know English and you need to know math, right? So you're verbal and your math. And if you don't know math, you're not getting in. And so I'm like, well, wait a second. If I have no intention of going into something that requires this math.
Why is that required?
Why are you submarining my education? Why shouldn't I be able to go to Yale because I don't know math? I'm going to do philosophy for a living, or I'm going to be an English lit professor. Why do I need math? I don't I don't need that. And math requirements, not only delay or derail college graduation.
Well, there is something that you have to recognize too, that education has to do. It has to prepare you not just for who you are today. It has to prepare you for if you decide you're going to do something else as well. Because most of us do.
Of course.
A lot of us do change, not most, but a lot of us do change up what we do.
Yeah.
I have drastically multiple times in my career,
Same.
So within science and outside of science. So, having that flexibility. So I guess the question is, if you want to teach thought, don't use math as a substitute for it, but it is a type of thought. That's what math is, a type of logic and reasoning.
Yeah, I get it. But unless it's put in the context of here's why you're learning it, I think more kids are like me than are like, the brainiacs that have the propensity for math.
It's not that you're a brainiac, man. It's that you're lucky, dude.
You're right.
Because if it's in your house, you're lucky.
Just flat
but I think
chemical.
Also that you have to customize education for the individual.
Yeah.
If you're doing it in an optimum way. And, in the past, we couldn't do that. But I think we have reached a point now with the technology that we have that you can customize it for each person.
Yeah.
And so I think that the question becomes, so I'll give you an example. When you're a professor at a research university, you have a research group. Your research group is like you're a business owner of your research company, and your graduate students, postdocs, and undergraduates are your employees. All right. And so your postdocs and graduate students may act like managers for the younger people. When you get an undergraduate in there, they're getting a research experience.
Okay.
Most of the time, you don't give them work that you rely on. You give them worthwhile work, but it's something that, okay,
I don't trust your shit, is what you're saying.
It's sort of like, it would be great if someone did this kind of work, right?
Oh, okay, got you.
And the thing I thought to myself is, these students that are coming in here and doing this, chances are they're not going to become astrophysicists.
Okay.
But they probably will become a science engineering professional in some fashion.
All right.
So what are the skill set that I can make sure they leave me with that it can be useful to them no matter where they go? So I made sure they all learn coding. I made sure they all learn how to do writing, communications the way we do it, right? That's in talk form, that's a scientific paper form.
Yes.
Presentation form. And I make sure they know they have electrical skills, because you're all in the world of physics, you're always building things with electronics. And I had to make sure that they had mechanical skills. And by mechanical, it used to be that there was a machine shop and you went and made your things yourself.
Wood shop and metal shop, amen.
Exactly. But at the minimum, you need to be able to at least make a drawing and hand it to a machinist.
Right.
And say, get this thing made.
Or screw in a...
So that's how I thought of it, is what is the skill set I want to give you that you can take and it's going to be valuable to you. And so I think that's how we need to think of education.
Amen. I mean, as an instructor, that actually brings up an interesting question, because I just read yesterday, maybe the day before, and as it turns out when I researched it, they've been doing it for a long time, but that MIT have basically put their entire course online. You can learn for free online from MIT. Give me your impact on, and most of those things are videos where it's pre-recorded, it's asynchronous, whatever. I just bumped my own mic. But what is your take on like something that's taught by a human versus I can go online, I can watch a lecture, and I can learn this course? Again,
it's a person by person thing.
Okay.
There is a value to being in a room with people, because the thing about learning STEM, and I say this, I put this in my syllabus when I was teaching physics. I would say you need to speak it. Doing problems, reading, that's not good enough. You need to speak it. You need to speak it with someone. So you need to make yourself a little crew of 1, 2, 3 or more people. So that you can talk to each other about this stuff. If you don't speak it, you're not going to learn it the best you can.
Right.
A few people will, but for the vast majority of us, you need to be able to speak it. Now, I'm going to say this is going to be controversial too. Teachers and professors will often confuse you because they think differently than how you think, how your mind works. So I never attended class, bro. And I'm going to be honest to you. I never met a class that I liked, ever. Right?
Welcome aboard.
The moment classes became optional, I stopped going. So when I was an undergrad, I would just show up for the exams.
But again, your brain works differently than most people.
Well, I teach myself. That's the thing.
Right.
I teach myself. But I had to have a partner. Right. So whenever I'm teaching myself, I have one person I work with. So at Stanford, it was David Santiago at one point, and this Indian dude named Rakesh Nigam. At Tougaloo was Francesca Wilkins. Right. These are, I have a partner that I work with, and every night we're going to go do this work together. But if I go into that classroom and I listen to that professor talking, I was so uneducated that what they were saying just wasn't sticking to me.
Well, it
confused me.
First of all, I was worried that you were going to say you had an imaginary friend that was your partner the entire time. That was scaring me a little bit. And secondly, I talked to a doctor. You should put nothing in your syllabus. It's very dangerous. You probably won't be able to sit down for a whole month if you do. Anyway, okay. So
I'm going to use that.
Don't put anything up your syllabus. So what it sounds like here, and I'm afraid to say it, what it sounds like here is that you and I kind of agree on this.
In a way, we do. I'm
going to give one bell for in a way. I'll take that.
I can't believe I'm agreeing with you.
I can't believe it either. What has happened to you? You used to be such a smart man, and everything's just gone to hell in a handbasket.
I'm going to go get a cleanse.
It's all the traveling, I think. Maybe you're jet lagged.
Something, man. I don't know what the hell.
I don't know that. I was expecting a huge debate. I'm actually glad that we didn't, because I respect your opinion on it, of course, and I'm saying that I think the logic is in my favor here. I think you're seeing that the logic is in my favor here.
Well, here's the thing, though. You're going to have to revise it, JR, because here's what we're going to do. Let's implement both of our plans.
Okay.
Let's teach math right from the ground up, so that by the time everybody's 10, they've already completed Algebra 1 by the time they're 10. Right? And then let's see what needs to happen.
Okay.
Because once you do that, you have a completely different landscape now. And the way that people interact with mathematics is going to be completely reframed and different. It's kind of like reading, man. There was a time when everybody was illiterate.
Yeah.
Right? And it looked like, oh, reading.
Yeah.
Oh, it's magic. It's ciphering, right? Talking leaves.
Mm,
But
yeah.
math comes across that way now because it's just taught horribly traditionally. The formula that we use is not the right one.
Nope, 600 years old. It hasn't changed since. I mean, it really is. It's exactly the same way. There is something that I just thought of, though, when you were talking about, sort of opening your mind to math being useful, kind of based on our two excellent ideas. Is we're getting back to the Steven Spielberg Alien movie, right? And the one thing that is absolutely certain is the only universal language in the universe is mathematics. Okay, hit me.
Well,
all right, I'm ready.
I read a book by a neuroscientist.
Okay, all right.
Who convinced me, and I don't remember the exact argument, but here's what he was saying. They were saying, I don't remember how many authors there were, but it was the argument was something like this. They're like, if you look at the descriptive words that humans use, ultimately they are couched in the language of our 5 major senses.
Okay.
And that's true even of mathematics. And so any description that we ever have is going to be human. So we might think that it's universal, but by the very nature of the situation, there are thoughts that you just can't think because you're human.
Okay.
And there are thoughts that are framed in a completely human context that some others may not get. So you might meet an alien species and their math is not the same as your math.
All right.
Because
okay, go ahead. Please.
Because they have different senses. They experience the world in a different way. Because what we experience and we call reality is not reality. It's the story that our brain has constructed for the sensory information it has received.
I agree with that.
And it doesn't receive all information. We don't have senses for things that exist that are, that's why we build, physics sensors.
Yeah. I guess I'm saying that if you're trying to make contact or give an understanding to an alien species, we're talking like it's happening tomorrow, but an alien species, that an understanding of geometry and trigonometry, right? Proof that you understand the concept of geometry and you understand the idea of triangulation, that they would say, this is a society or this is a species that is worth us interacting with. They have some basic understanding of how things work.
This is my next book I'm working on. Hopefully my agent likes it, but I'm working on it. I just started working on it in the last few weeks about aliens and UFOs.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying in the title right now because I don't really have a title. And no matter what I
aliens
come up
and
with,
UFOs.
the publisher would change anyway.
Yeah.
Aliens and UFOs is what it's about. And you have to think about what, how different life could be, right? And one of the things to understand is that we have those alien species right here already.
Yeah.
We talk about communicating with alien species. Okay, well, let's start communicating with the whales.
Yeah.
Let's start communicating with everything that has a brain here. And we're not doing it.
Yeah.
Right? And you're talking about communicating with aliens.
Yeah.
You can't even communicate with a damn whale, which are clearly communicating with each other.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's lots of species that are clearly communicating with each other and we can't communicate with them.
I would be a billionaire. I say this to my wife all the time. If I could just figure out a way to hear a dog's thoughts for real. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can communicate with your dog, but like my dog has been sick lately. He hurt his leg and whatever else. And, and I was like, I just want to hear what he's thinking or what he's feeling like. Ow, my leg hurts, or geez, I feel tired today, or whatever it is. I would be a billionaire if I could figure that out. So let alone the whales who, I don't have a whale in my backyard, although that would be fun.
Bro, you missing out.
That would be fun. I think it would be great.
Oh man.
Well,
I got a pet dolphin in the house.
You're such an ass. You do not eat. Okay, listen, this was wonderful. Only because I was less of an idiot than usual, based in your eyes, at least.
I'm like, you're all 100% right, JR, except for that 5%.
Right. Well,
that I can't blame you for
90%,
because you're a subject of the school system just like me.
That was a very 90% of baseball is half mental kind of sentence right there. The old Yogi Berra. It is always an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Ditto, sir.
And I would love to have you on again when it's something that we don't agree on.
Yeah.
Because I do like the healthy debate. But
ditto.
Before we go, Before we go, let's talk about give another plug for your book, please, and where you might be, other plugs, appearances, and so on.
Absolutely. I am, the title of the book is Why Do We Exist? The 9 Realms of the Universe That Make You Possible. And it is amazing.
It's very good.
Read the reviews.
Really is.
You're going to love it. So where am I going to be? So next week, I'm going to be on the beach in San Diego on the 17th, hosting a star party in Santa Monica.
Wait, I thought you said it was Santa Monica.
Yeah, Santa Monica is in L.A.
Yeah, you said San Diego.
Oh, I said San Diego? I'm an idiot, bro. Santa Monica.
See, geography was not your strong suit, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Whatever, I screwed up, man. And the Astro Society, astrosociety.org. Check us out. And I am bringing out a new podcast there called Astrobeat. Astrobeat was a print property that the society has had for many years, and now we're taking it. So, I'm explaining amazing things. I also have a podcast that the latest new episode just dropped called Particles of Thought from the creators of Nova.
I love that.
And the last podcast is with the folks from Roddenberry, and it's a science fiction podcast called Does It Fly? And my co-host, Tamara Krinsky, and I, Tamara is Marvel's Red Carpet host. We talk about all of the technologies in sci-fi. Could they really work in the real world? So it's a lot of fun. So let's see. I have a busy July. I am going to be at Comic-Con in San Diego.
Yay!
The 23rd through 26th. In mid-July, I'm going to be speaking at NYU on the 15th. And then on the 16th and 17th, I'm being inducted into the National Black Inventors Hall of Fame.
Wow, congratulations, man.
Thank you. August 9th through the 22nd, I'm going to be in the Mediterranean on a Virgin Voyages cruise telling people about total solar eclipses, because there's going to be a total solar eclipse.
Wow.
So
how'd you wrangle that one? That's pretty good.
Man, the Astro Society has had a long relationship with Virgin. One of our former board members and wonderful sponsors is a guy named Ron Rosano.
Okay.
He actually went up on the Virgin space flight in the past. And so, getting to know Ron, he introduced me to the Virgin folks. And they were like, we'd love to have you come and do this for the Eclipse Cruise. So that's what we're doing.
Amazing. And your Astro Society event is in Pasadena. It's right around the corner for me. I'd love to come by and see it.
Right around the corner, Santa Monica. So the American Astronomical Society meeting is going to be in Pasadena. And so in collaboration with them, as well as in collaboration with the Planetary Society, we're going to be on the beach of Santa Monica. A lot of Star Trek actors are going to be there. I'm excited. I'm going to meet Tim Russ for the first time. He was the Black Klingon.
Yeah, that isn't he now like an astrophysicist or like I don't know what, is that not the right word?
I say Klingon. He was a Vulcan. He is a member of the Los Angeles amateur astronomer community. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, I've seen him talk about it.
Oh yeah.
I was just for the record, I was somehow overlooked for the Black Inventors Award. I'm not exactly sure
the Hall
why.
of Fame. Hey man, you know what? It's all about your syllabus, brother. Did you
watch your mouth?
Did they check
syllabus.
your syllabus?
Watch. Yes, there was nothing in there. Dr. O, a great pleasure.
Thank
always.
you, JR.
Come back again. Great to have you.
Anytime. Thank you, sir.
All right, buddy.
Hey,
thanks so
JR,
much.
before I go, man.
Yes, sir.
I saw that Stan had this new granola flavor, grilled raccoon in October, and I love that.
Oh man, not you too. Why would you love that? Is it because I know you grew up in the South, but you don't eat grilled raccoon.
Yes, the hell I do. Are you kidding me? Oh my God.
Stan, did you hear that?
Wow, the doctor has good taste. Never would have guessed that.
When did you come up with grilled raccoon?
How did I figure out that flavor? It's kind of natural. I mean, think about it.
Oh my God. So he already caved.
What kind of sheltered life have you lived that you've never had raccoon?
He already has this cave aging process, which means he doesn't cook anything. I'm convinced it's giving people, trigonosis. So
Of course I cook it. You can't eat raw raccoon. Are you stupid?
I would caution you not to, especially something that's got actual meat in it. And granola with meat doesn't make any sense in the first place.
It's the flavor. So I assume it was going to be like one of those little flavor packets you put in there.
Flavor packets? Well, first, that's a really good idea. I might make raccoon flavor packets. But no, I use a real deal.
I would absolutely.
I cook it on the grill for 7 or 8 days, so it's crispy and granola.
There's chunks of meat in it because that's how he doesn't really think about this stuff.
Yeah, that sounds like ptomaine poisoning.
Yeah, I mean, we talked to the judge. Our last guest was a former judge.
Former judge.
She's saying, I don't think it's legal what he's doing, or at least wasn't 100%.
Said she didn't know.
She said she didn't know if it was legal.
But that doesn't mean she's right.
So now you got me thinking. So I should have ordered the
if you're going to get one, just don't get the CBD oil one. I'm telling you right now.
You know what? It's funny you mentioned that. I did get the CBD oil order, and I opened the box, bro, and there was a joint at the bottom. And so
I wouldn't doubt. I mean, at the very least, it might have looked like you bought a cheesesteak in Philly, and it's like the box was stained with oil because he put so much in it.
Yeah, it was an oily box, so I was
much.
expecting. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be delicious. But I opened up, there's just like this joint sitting down in the bottom. I'm like, I knew CBD, I know where it came from, but this does not look edible.
Of course, it's not edible. You don't eat that. You just light it up.
Well, listen, I will work on it. I don't know how you got samples in the first place because he's always out of stock. He makes it in these tiny batches, and it's. When I say tiny batches, I mean it might be a bowl full that he's got, and people are trying to order. Anyway, stay away from it. That's all I'm saying.
I didn't get it, actually. That's what I'm telling you. I didn't get it.
Okay.
I got an oily box with a joint.
Oh, just the joint?
Just the joint in the bottom of an oily box. I'm like, what?
Okay.
I think I misunderstood.
Listen to me.
Your smiley face at the end of your order to mean you wanted the good stuff.
That doesn't make any sense. See what just happened here?
You sure are critical of my process. I'd like to see you have your own granola company.
Oh, for God's sake. All right. I'm going to work on this with this kid. I appreciate it. But I would say do not make another order because it's only going to end in disaster and you're going to somehow be legally tied to it. So just don't do it.
Oh, yeah. I don't want that.
All right, pal. Nice to talk to you.
All right.
All right, bye.
Peace.
That does it for this time. Appreciate you listening. A massive thanks to my guest, the amazing Dr. Hakeem Oluseyi. I always love having you on. Stan, can we stop with the stupid flavors now before you kill somebody?
I have another flavor coming out. It's called Splat-a-tat-tat. It's just roadkill that is put in the microwave and then grilled. The microwave kills all the pathogens from what I understand. And every batch will be a little different.
It's like talking to a brick wall. Seriously.
It's 100% upcycling. Good for the environment.
And by the way, a bunch of you wrote in asking me to get Stan his own mic so he can participate in the show.
Oh.
Absolutely not.
Coming at you live.
You are opening up a ridiculous can of worms.
I don't understand.
No, Stan. Okay, now Stan is pouting.
My granola's healthy.
Like what you're hearing? Enraged by what you're hearing? Want to hear more? Clicking the follow button will make sure of that, so go ahead and click it. There's nothing stopping you. A review would also help us out, but I can only ask so much. Join me for another upcoming episode of Assume I'm an Idiot. I'm your pal JR. Catch you again soon.